dedicated to all the freaky people out there. All us lovely freaks and weirdos. We're just trying to make it through life, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's rough out there. Just try to keep a sense of humor. Try to stay human, you know what I'm saying? Starvation is a creation of the devil, a rebel. I'm bringing food to the people like a widow, bringing flowers to a grave in the middle of the city. Isolation is a riddle, to be surrounded by a million other people, but feel alone like a tree in the desert, dried up like the skin of a lizard, but full of color like the spots of a leopard. Drum and bass pull me in like a shepherd, scratch my itch like a needle on a record. Full of life like a man gone to Mecca, sky high like an eagle up soaring. I speak low but I'm like a lion roaring, baritone like a Robeson recording. I'm giving thanks for being human every morning, morning. Because the streets are alive with the sound of boom bap. Can I hear it once again? Boom bap. Tell your neighbor, tell a friend, every box got a right to be booming. Because the streets are alive with the sound of boom bap. Can I hear it once again? Boom bap. Tell your neighbor, tell a friend, every flower got a right to be blooming. Be resistant. The negativity, we keep it at a distance. Call for backup and I give you some assistance. Like a lifesaver deep in the ocean, stay afloat here upon the funky motion. Rock and roll upon the waves of the season. Hold your breath and you're underwater breathing. To be rhyming without a real reason is to claim but not to practice a religion. If television is the drug of the nation, satellite is immaculate reception. Beaming in, they can look and they can listen. So you see, don't believe in the system to legalize you or give you your freedom. You want rights.
Hi everyone, this is Amelia Duran, your host of Porthole to Justice. And it is Sunday afternoon, May 21st. And I am here with Lazaro Incero, and he is a correspondent and a member in the Porthole to Justice, and he's been on the show several times as a guest. And today's show is called Free the Bundys. And Lazaro, welcome to the Porthole to Justice. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
So you recently did a live feed that I was incredibly moved by, because I've been following you, on Facebook. We've been friends for a few years, and you and I, we touched base here and there, and we compare notes because we're kind of on the front lines of the same war, but two different sides of the coin. Do you want to kind of bring us up to date on your research? Lazaro is an activist, and he's an advocate for the Bundys, and he's been traveling and researching, and you have some new revelations to share with us regarding this situation.
Fortunately, I do. It is at the same time unfortunate and sad that knowing that the Hammonds and the Bundys are unlawfully incarcerated. That's the most troubling thing, because I went down to New Mexico, Capitan, New Mexico, where all the fire laws and Smokey the Bear, that they made a big deal about Smokey the Bear at the time. And when they made a big deal about Smokey the Bear, our government in Capitan, New Mexico, they wrote laws, legislative laws. You can call it Senate hearings, congressional hearings, congressional reports, public law by Congress. All these are bills and committees in which Congress creates. And they pass bills that affect us, because we have to understand that Congress is the only branch of government that can make and create laws. So when I started reading all these laws, I started realizing that in the several bills, the Bundys, actually the Hammonds, have a moral and obligation to start a backfire, and that's for three reasons: to protect the destruction of public and private property, that's lands and livestock, in addition to life. So if you see a person or people near a fire and they're stuck because of a fire, or for some reason the fire is moving toward the house, you can literally start a backburn, and that backburn to help extinguish that fire. And what my question to everybody is, how come the Hammond's attorney never introduced this evidence? Either read the evidence, research the evidence, or file the evidence so the grand jury can listen to the evidence. And that's the biggest question right now that I keep bringing up. And remember, the Hammonds were unlawfully prosecuted under the Terrorist Act, which is in one of the bills, the fire bills. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, they had a moral and obligational duty by congressional records to start a backfire, and that's the whole point. So, if that does exist, then why are the Hammonds still unlawfully incarcerated? And how in the world can these corrupt politicians, judges, lawyers, politicians, and lobbyists go after a Hammond and unlawfully have them incarcerated?
It's concerning, that whole situation. And two things I want to ask you. I know that you're an activist, but are you studying to be a tribal lawyer? Or because I know that you do study the tribal laws and stuff like that, and you're very much into legalities and all of that. Are you planning to go?
No. I am not planning to go to law school. I do not want to do anything with law school. And to be honest, you do not have to be a lawyer to exercise your constitutional right to go pro se. Meaning it's your moral obligation and duty to know the law, meaning know the Constitution, know the Federalist Papers, know the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. But most of all, the laws that Congress passed. Mm-hmm. Because that's what governs our society. That's what the separation of powers is. That's why our founding fathers articulated in the Federalist Papers the purpose of all three branches: the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branch.
I've just been so impressed by you throughout this journey, how thoroughly you've investigated in I mean, I just, every time you uncover this stuff, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's powerful. The other thing is, now I know that the Bundy Ranch, when we first met, we discussed, the BLM, and there was that big, huge, viral incident that occurred regarding the Bundy Ranch. Can you explain to us what is the significance and why so much over just this ranch that this family has owned in their family for hundreds of years? Why this particular family? Why their ranch? Why is all of this so controversial?
Well, let me say, it's not this particular family. Actually, this family had the audacity to go and exercise their constitutional rights against a defective government, the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management. The Bureau of Land Management is just a corporation registered in Puerto Rico. It's not even part of a government. It's a corporation. That's the Bureau of Land Management. Everybody can look this up. It's registered as Secretary of Treasury, and it's also in the Duns and Bradstreet, registered as a corporation. So it's no longer a government agency. Now, in order to find the truth, you have to find the money, meaning follow the money in order to seek the truth. So where there's always back-end deals, There's always money exchange or land, property, or minerals. So the Bundys knew they had they were within their constitutional right to take on the BLM. But the BLM was set up to land grab, basically steal land from the ranchers and Native Americans. So they go hand in hand. This is why I've been so perplexed and they're stating that the Native Americans and the ranchers need to come together because their common enemy is a de facto government in legislation and in Washington, D.C. Why they're a common enemy? Because they're going after the minerals. In order for the de facto government to steal the minerals, they first have to steal the land from the ranchers and Native Americans, including their water. So once that is accomplished, these criminals within the government create a hedge fund. And those hedge funds, they can come from Canada, from Australia, from China, or Europe, anywhere. And then they come into the United States. And the hedge fund does for two purposes. One, to elude taxes from the IRS. I mean, they pay less taxes if it's a foreign corporation coming into the United States. And second, they get stewardship or federal funding, free money by the taxpayers, in which they don't have to return even if they make a profit to start that hedge fund, that corporation to extract the minerals, which is sickening. So so they're basically screwing the American people. One, they elude the taxes, and two, we give them money to start the corporation. That's pretty much a slap in the face. So what the Bundys have underneath, it's all invested through Barrick Gold Inc. And Barrick Gold Inc. invested in a satellite called the Land Exploration Satellite. Under that corporation, the Land Exploration Satellite, you got George Soros, you got Harry Reid, you got Jeff Merkley, Greg Walden, all these powerful elites, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, invested in the Land Exploration Satellite. So what does this satellite do? It pins all the minerals across the western states, all 13 or 11 western states. And wherever they pin the minerals, well, they send a GIS, which is a geological surveyor, to the Bureau of Land Management to see and survey the land, see if there's minerals on that land. And once they find out that there are minerals in that land, they'll go through the three-step process. One, they'll tell you to ask you to sell it, and then if you decide not to sell it, they'll take you to court and legally try to break you into de facto courts because it's all run by corrupt judges and district attorneys. So if they don't break you between the judge and the district attorney and they don't bankrupt you, they'll burn you out. And how would they burn you out? Well, they'll set a fire under the guidance of forest restoration. And what the fire does is basically they'll start a fire where it goes and sweeps through the whole, as many acres as they want. Sometimes these ignorant or incompetent buffoons let the fire get out of their control. So now you need Native Americans and ranchers to help prevent the fire from spreading. But what it does is, if the rancher is not paying attention, or the Native American is not paying attention, or the community is not paying attention, well, it can sweep and burn them out. And now,
so the next logical question is, what in this geological study, what is on the land?
Uranium, mercury, gold, copper, silver. Matter of fact, there was a document that I came back in 1965, and Steens Mountain is huge. So I want to emphasize the Steens Mountain because it pertains to the Hammonds, and the Hammonds live on Steens Mountain. And Uranium One, which is Oregon Energy LLC, tied to the Clinton Foundation, has mining claims on Steens Mountain. So in order for them to get access, which is why the BLM was so adamant in trying to steal the land from the Hammonds, is because of the minerals underneath. Now, there's a lot of ranchers out there that already lost their land, and those few ranchers that are still there don't even know the type of minerals that are underneath the ground. But the BLM and the Land Exploration Satellite know where the minerals are at because they already have maps, in which some of the maps I already have in my possession. So it's all Steens Mountain, the entire Steens Mountain. There's minerals all over Steens Mountain. And matter of fact, back in 1999, under Bill Clinton, with Bruce Babbitt as the Interior Secretary, wanted to make the Steens Mountain a monument. Unfortunately, they were unable to make Steens Mountain a monument. But they knew where already the minerals were at, which is why they're trying to get the claims for those minerals. They're trying to steal the land for those minerals. That's why you got Uranium One, the Clinton Foundation in Russia, getting the uranium.